Good afternoon.
Yes, you're welcome to today's meeting. So for today, we'll be considering database, okay, working with PHP and database. And of course, how many people are already familiar with database here? Mandy, are you already familiar with working with database?
Yes, using XAMPP.
It's of no difference. Anyway, not like then. But then I'm just going to show you some few stuff. So today's class, I will just, allow you to go home, refresh your brain about a lot of things on, that we will be talking about. Probably, get you to see this thing that's on my screen. Hold on. Yeah, to see this thing that's on my screen and probably go home, then practice a lot of them because we will be using them much more in the next class. So, and let me confirm some other thing. So, yeah. So I think basically after this very class, then we'll talk about just security, data encryption, and possibly SQL injection. That's the next class. Then from upper class, we'll start doing full OOP. And then that is where we'll be doing a lot of things, okay, using this thing. And you need to understand just way beyond, crude in database, all right? So I believe those of us who are yet to use database, I mean, you who are here must have a pre-installed database server. For example, your XAMPP, okay? Your XAMPP or maybe if you use the normal MySQL command lines, okay? Or in the normal MySQL servers, all right? Or the one exam, but whichever way. So I believe that you must have at least be familiar with MySQL and you know some few things, even though I'm still going to be doing some few stuffs. And you have XAMPP as well, okay? So XAMPP is like an alternative, so all right, to local MySQL development servers, all right? And of course, you should have PHP MyAdmin installed on your local system. So in some cases, okay, in case you cannot access your MySQL console from your terminal, like mine, I just figured out a few days ago. Probably I have forgotten my what's it called? I've forgotten my XAMPP. Sorry, my MySQL credential, MySQL server credential for the server. So if I do this thing, I don't think I should be able to log on. So this is how to connect using the local server, all right? If you're using a local server like my own, then that's free. So access denied for, sorry. Oh, finally. So meaning I did not forget. So I'm here in my terminal now, all right? So this is the very first thing. If you're using whatever you're using XAMPP, if you're or whatever. So first thing you do most times when you get to MySQL console, so is to try to query database, all right? So I mean, doing that in MySQL, so you use this. All right, so you can see I have this already in my DB. Okay, so you can see all this are database, all right, on my DB. Then I'm going to create another one. So, and this is something you need to note. So MySQL, all right? Some people call it MySQL. You know, it is structured query language, all right? So you can see it from the aspect of the programming language, but this one is used to query data, all right? Insert data and then, you know, retrieve back data, updates a certain data, all right? And as well, delete data. So we call them most times, okay, we saw when I wrote this, you know, CRUD, it's called code and it's called create, read, update and delete, all right? So this is the main function of the database, all right, of what the database. So it is of you know, actions you do in the database, all right. So you create. It could be table. It could be table. It could be the database. It could be it could be just anything, all right. So and it could even be views, all right. And for arrow stands for read. You can read just virtually anything. You can read the database like I did this, okay. Now when I do show databases, okay. Now you can see I'm reading the database, all right, stored on these servers, okay, stored on this server, all right. I can choose to select one database, okay. Then I did created the database, all right, where I called it KodeCamp, all right. So you can see it here, KodeCamp, all right. So if I want to see the table in database, so I just have to use this thing, KodeCamp, all right. So now I'm in KodeCamp. So before I was literally in a. Well, let's try this. So see if this works, okay? So it still shows the database, but I'm actually using this guy now, all right? So I can change from here to any other database, but I'm here. So if I say show, I will not get any table because there is no table here, all right? Oh, one. So you can as well use this thing. So this is mostly used when you're in a particular table. So you can now describe the table. Oh. You can now describe the table. Okay. So what is this terminal? Okay. Then in using PHP, working with PHP and MySQL, there are so many kind of connectors to use. You can use the PHP data object, that's the PDO, and you can use the MySQL constructor, and you can use the what's it called? You can use the MySQLite constructor, all right, or class. There are different classes, all right, in accessing the MySQL server, all right. So, but then before we get down, I want to show you something. I think last time I was trying to do something, okay, and we did talk about this previously, where we had to. I think this is where I was, okay, where I returned a particular user. Then I needed to do something, okay. Now let me just do something, okay. So I'll just say user equals so I'll just say user equals new recursive array. recursive iterator, then I'll pass so then I'll pass the array in here. So inside the another class. So yeah, so this should get our problem solved. So remember the other time, so we were struggling within the keys because once you search for a parallel key, or once it tries to filter only arrays that are, in that case it kind of return the whole array with its own key. So which was initially very difficult to track. But in this case, this should solve our issue. All right. I think I had some others. Did I? Okay. All right. So let me just create another new terminal. Localhost. Localhost. What should we call 8,000? Yeah. So yeah. So we'll come to this later on. All right. So I think I did have email and I submitted, and what do you say? So further long catch arguments random expect at least one. So where we have okay, yeah. Okay, so we didn't have any array, so meaning there was no user with our defining whatever. So I guess everybody that was here in this last class, everybody that was here when we did this thing, or you probably went home to watch the video where we did this thing, or else you might likely have a lot of issues, plenty of issues. Okay, so yeah, we have this guy. Yeah, so So we have this. And okay, hold on, Mindy. All right, so great now. So we have this guy. So this is very sweet now. So we are now just have the elements. All right. So we can now see iterator to array. Okay. Iterator to array, and we see false, and we pass this guy. Okay. So you can now split this guy too if you want to, just for readability sake. Okay. And then we pass a comma in there. All right. So this should be fine. So we remove this guy now. And we now have our user now set to, so we have to remove this guy now. All right. So we now have user, what do you have now? User, okay, so let's run that again and see what happens. And a find key email. Okay, so and so the Vadom. Oh, so it actually removed the what's it called? Remove the removed the keys of the arrays. Okay. Mandy, what was your question?
Not for now. You can proceed. I'll ask later.
So why not now?
Okay. I was running XAMPP before, right? So I just installed my SQL server, right? So I was thinking if I could actually run both locally. And besides, I've actually not used MySQL locally before because I know that XAMPP is like an expressway, more like the cheat way of using MySQL. So is it possible that when you're working on a project, you can actually run MySQL and your PHP server on the same command, on the same terminal, just like you did on VS Code?
Sorry, I didn't get that. What did you say?
Like more like running PHP server and MySQL server on the same terminal.
Like I have here.
Yeah, like you exactly. Is your MySQL still live here?
Yeah, it's here and it's here.
Okay,
You
so
have
you can actually
two different terminals doing different things.
Oh, okay. You create two different terminals on the same project.
Yes, on the same project.
Okay. All right.
So okay.
All right.
So sorry, I think I omitted something. So array to iterator, all right. So this params is for what is it called? Is for if you know this is this thing, what's it called? If the iterator passed in, all right, is to be is you know is if you want to preserve the keys, all right, in this iterator. So that's when you use the true. So in the true, everything should work fine now. Okay, so if I should refresh now, so I should get whatever I want to get. Okay, so you see welcome Celestine. Now if I try to log in as Mendy, so remember that our login, so does log that out. I think there is Mendy. Let me get Mendy. Yeah, man. I just see password. Okay, so you can see Mendy. Who again do we have there? So at least, so this is what from the assignment. This is what I should at least this part I should expect to see. Maybe something or maybe something more creative anyway, just for flattening the array. Okay, and let's see if there is another user. Okay, you can try. All right. Okay, we had admin. Okay, so we had admin and same password too. So you see, welcome admin. All right, so great. So now, but then in a typical MySQL ways, you of course, you know, even if you are using whatever you have to use, you have to endeavor to encrypt this guy. All right. So there's a popular what's it called? There's a popular encryption function using what's it called? Using PHP. They call it bcrypt. All right. This. So this is a function. All right. But then what's this? Or you can then use the encrypt or whatever. I think this. And then do whatever you have to do. Okay. And before we move, there's something I want to show you. So before we leave, there's something I want to show you. All right. And of course, you can also use PHP hash anyway, all right, or password decrypt or whatever, or just scripts. Sometimes I see a lot of people using a lot of script. Okay, just script to do it, and maybe password underscore crypt. Okay, so whichever one you choose to use, it's still fine. It's still fine, 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 fine. Okay. Oh. Why don't you do something? Let me just leave it at that. So, possibly we're done with this. So maybe we'll get into something much more deeper. Okay. Yeah. Does anyone does anyone has any question? Please, if you have any question, raise up your hands. Or if you're having difficulty in the assignment, how many of you submitted?
I submitted, but the challenge is my main track is not PHP. Yeah. So, but I sent you my GitHub link on Slack since I think 2 days ago or Sunday or so. But you've
On
not.
my DM.
I don't think you've seen the message.
In my DM.
Yes, your Slack DM. Yes, I sent you my GitHub link for the app. I'm done with the work already. So my question here is, I've actually, although I'll go and Google it later, though, I've not used recursive iterator before. So I wanted you to explain further, like the recursive iterator. What does it exactly do?
Okay. Of course, it's very, very, the name should explain a lot. All right. I specifically opened this and I wanted to talk about this. Okay. So that was some of the questions I was expecting. One of the questions. Now you can see this. This is PHP, our standard PHP library. All right. So standard PHP library contains libraries, that PHP define as standard. And one of those things are, like a class, like what's the class again? What did you call it? Okay, recursive iterator. All right. So you can see it is trying to recurse through, like it makes an iterator, it builds an iterator, or it builds an iterator into being recursive. All right. While a recursive array, it builds an array into an iterator. Okay. So builds an array into iterator, and this one takes up an iterator, which builds a kind of iterator from an iterator, which you can do something like what's it called? You can do something like for each year. All right. So if I intend to do, maybe I should do this. Yeah. Let me just do this. So should I come? No, not like, even if I come, so I can do something like for each. So this as a item, okay, and yeah, so I should be able to probably die. All right. Pardon. Item. Okay. And was I here? And I go back. So you can see Celestine, all right? So being dumped right there. What is happening? So it has actually turned a recursive array, all right, into a recursive iterator, all right? So, and a recursive iterator is something that, that, PHP defines it in such a way, it's smart in some ways that, PHP can look through them, all right? So, and I don't know if some other class I should attach it to. But if you want to, look more into it or what it does, or looking into a lot of things about it, you can always come here. So it's part of the. It's part of the. So this is the first one. It's part of this guy. So this is, yeah. So you can see because of the class, you can read more about it like from here towards it. So yeah. So like I said, this allows you to set some arrays, okay. All right, and this is how the class looks like, okay. So already it's a subclass of recursive iterator. So you can run a lot of things on them. So it has children. So this will return you either 2 or 4. So get children, return you and recursive array iterator, all right? So which is the main class itself, all right? So, and of course, well, originally, so what it returns is an iterator. So something that should be able to allow you to iterate through them. And it has a lot of things. Okay, it has a sort and so on, inherited method. So you can use a sort on it and you can use k-sort on them, all right? So you can still look through this to see what it does after iterator. This is even another way of handling that. Yeah, this is another way of handling that. So you can just, oh, it's still the same thing. Oh, I didn't even see this. Wow, interesting. This is fine. Ah, so the example was even here, Seth. You didn't see this. So any other question? Or Mandy, are you okay? Are you satisfied?
Yeah, I'm very okay. I'll look into it. I understand your explanation, but I'll still look into it. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is for that. So till we will look into the full example. Maybe probably once I have looked. What's this? So once I have looked towards once I've looked at your code and then see what you've done so far. I don't. In fact, let me tell you. If after this you go and modify your Git, or you go and modify your submitted what's it called? Your submitted repo. Okay, I'll know them. So I'll just use the time you submitted and the last commit. The time you did the last commit. So automatically, as you know, if you have altered or if there was any alteration there, all right. So that's fine. So I can even trace to see what exactly you altered. That's fine. But then if you submit it, please make sure that your repository is public. Okay? Don't send me a private repository. Okay, so back to our database. So today we're going to talk about database, not all this thing. So, and yeah, like I said, after this, I might not really dwell a lot about database because we will not be, though you'll be using a lot of things, but then I expect that you only get familiar with it as you grow. Okay, so we will likely just probably maybe do 1, 2 things, 3 things, or basic things, or that is always needed in MySQL or with the database. All right, so we proceed from there, and you can still stay like your server installed. Okay, so once you got that set up, so you should be able to have PHP my admin set up. Okay, this is how PHP my admin looks like. So I'll close this stuff out because for now we don't need them. Okay, PHP. All right, so I have this already. Yeah, so you can see some of the database I have here. Okay, so I have whatever is called here, and I have whatever is called here, and I have whatever it's called here. Okay, KodeCamp. I use KodeCamp. You can see we don't have any data here, and this is one of the beautiful things. You can do this, all right. So you can do this. You can simply, I'm not in KodeCamp, you can see, I can simply now run my queries, okay? For example, maybe create a table, right? Remember, we are trying to analyze CRUD in database. Now, after CRUD, so possibly today's class is not going to be that long or much. So after CRUD, so I will take some questions. Take some questions. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So after this, take some questions, and yeah, you go figure out some things. Then Thursday we'll come back again. We'll dwell a lot. Like we'll be doing so many things here, a lot of things. So we might likely talk about joins and every other stuff and so on. And we'll be doing so much stuff. Maybe probably we'll try to build a small application, or maybe we'll try to convert our login system into a database driven what's it called? Yeah, we convert it to a database driven application, okay, and we are up and running. So then the next class, that means from possibly upper week or next week, so we should start OOP, and OOP will be doing a lot of things. For those of you who are going to be doing Laravel, we are going to be doing so many plenty of things. All right, so for now I can execute some queries right there in my PHP, my admin, all right, the SQL section, and I should get the same result as I do in my terminal. Okay, so I'm trying to create. We did have users before, so of course, you know, each time you create a table. All right, so there is a notion, all right, in SQL. So sometimes a table always will need an identifier, and that shouldn't, no matter how tiny the table looks like, okay, there should be, each time you're creating a table, there should be in your mind an identifier. All right, an identifier sometimes acts as the primary key. All right, maybe it could be a secondary key, or it could be just whatever, primary key, secondary key, or whatever, maybe component key, or whatever key, whatever key it may be. All right, but you should always think of your mind that there is, or you should always know in your mind that there are identifiers. Okay, for example, no matter how tiny the table is, you should give it an identifier. Maybe it can be, okay, a secondary key in another table, all right, referencing this key here, all right, or possibly maybe you can choose to, you know, map each data by their primary key. Who knows? Okay, but then sometimes things like that happen. So from the engineering angle, you should be able to think and know that, okay, most times a table will always need an identifier, and most times each time I create a user, I think I did mirror the last object, the JSON objects, to look like that. Okay, great. So I didn't have it in the table, but I had it in the job, and I had it in the user job, where, you know, there was a lot of reference, user ID. All right, maybe we are supposed to have something like here, maybe ID. We have ID to be 1, okay, and yeah. Okay, you see this? So this is unique now. So before it wasn't unique. I can have different Celestine, all right, with different email. Although I know emails are always unique. All right, so this email can be used as a primary key, all right? So it's unique in some ways. But then think of it like, you know, in some cases, I might not really totally need this email in some tables, all right? So I would, in many cases, need this primary key to uniquely identify a row in a database, okay? So I'll try to mirror that. So I'll create first, say ID not new. So not new, and oh, should they have again? Okay, possibly the email, all right? So image should be unique. I wouldn't want to use us to be having the same email, all right? So you can see now I can easily add constraints, all right, to my data instead as against the JSON where I have no control over constraint, all right? So but then I can easily add constraint to this thing. Maybe another should be name. Okay. So this. Okay. All right. So sorry, I have to attend to some other things. So we should have a name field, okay? And name should still be the same. All right. So with maximum of 255. Okay. Values. And remember, so I have this and I click on this guy. So yeah, I have an error in my SQL. So error here. Oh. So I have an error in my code. Okay. So oh. So of course, yeah, so this works very fine. So what did this do? So this created a table with these fields, all right? So you can see integer fields with not null. You can, that means each time you want to insert data into this thing, all right? So it has to, you know, I gave some constraints just in general. So you should know that it has constraints, all right? It's data type int, data type back, character vet, data type character, all right? And maximum should be 225, and we still have two, okay, we have two character and we have the maximum to be 225 there. And we have constraints. So constraints, like you say, 225 should be not more than 225, right? Another one should be, you know, not null here, okay? And this thing, of course, this data should be unique, all right? So it's a user email, all right? So if I try to insert different user, if I try to insert different or the same, what's it called? The same, hold on. So let me do it from here at once. So here will be, I think will be a lot of, there will be a lot of understanding from here, I believe. So MySQL and so you can see I have users. So okay, so you can see now that this is how my user look like. So I have different fields. I have field, all right? And you can see field type here. So field type to be what? Integer or for ID, all right? So, and you can see no. You can see if it is key, all right? So, but if I want it to be key, probably, you know, so we are now on the update part, okay? So I think I did alter table. I want to set this into a primary key. I want it to be a primary key, all right? Alter table users, okay? So yeah, so I think this should work. No, it shouldn't work. Hope you can still see my screen. Oh, I just saw your message now. So thank you for that. Somebody is actually following up. So I missed that. I think that was before I saw the message. Okay. So modify should work. Alter table users, modify ID, and then is it primary? Key something. Is it start? It's key. Should be primary key. So oh. So anyway, I think maybe in the meantime I should show you this. Yeah, you should have this. You should have this in handy. This should help you a lot. Okay, so where you try to search for whatever that you're missing. So in this case, I think I missed the other. So add primary key. So add primary key, then to the table. Okay, so yeah. So you can see now, so it's now my primary key now. So in this case, so each time you are creating, a table, for example, this. Okay, so endeavor to always have your ID, or maybe in some cases, but in most cases, please use set your primary key. So int not no. Oh. Sorry, Mr. So okay, sorry guys, my system is a bit zanging a bit. So just let's hold on till it finally gets back to order. Okay. So I got my reopen. So sorry. Need to edit this thing. It's my son. Zanging a bit. So I have to shut down and turn it on. Shut down and turn it on. Okay. So it should be back again in just a moment. So just hold on. Okay. 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 All right. So hope you can hear me now, right?
Yeah, but we can't see your screen.
Yeah, hold on. My screen will come on a bit. So I'm using two devices. I'm trying to swap them through. So yeah, screen should be back now in a jiffy. And, so yeah, this is for my SQL reference. You can get all in case you have issues like maybe you forgot something. Maybe probably something maybe trying to do some inner join. So you can come here, then just check to, or maybe probably you want to optimize. Okay, sorry, you want to to do whatever you feel like, or maybe install. So you can see them. There are plenty. There are just many of them they can use for different. There are just plenty. There are many for different actions. Okay, you can look them all through. Okay, so back to what we're doing. Okay, so I'll go back to my MySQL terminal now. So dash 0. Okay, so I'll just go over to use. I think it's CodeCamp. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. So I think first of all, so once you mount a DB, so you do show tables, okay? So you should be able to see the table. Then you want to describe this any table there. So you can simply say describe then the table name. In this case is users, okay? And yeah, so I got ID is primary key and default is no. All right, so I can go on and do just whatever I feel like doing. Okay, initially I wanted to create another table. So this time around, I'm going to add different constraints to it. Create table, and I'll call them jobs. Okay, jobs. All right, and jobs will have an ID, an ID, an ID should be int as well. Int, not no primary key. Primary key and as well. Oh, yeah. Auto increment or increment, something like that. So, oh, get that thing out. So, and another concept I should, so you notice it is all what I'm doing. If I'm creating, for example, tables, I'm using plural. Okay, so your table contains, multiple subjects of relating to your table name, right? So, for example, if you want to store job in a single table, you have to make sure that your table name is jobs, not job. Okay, so you notice this similarity. Okay, so we'll talk about it. So once we get down to OOP, and then we'll talk about eloquent design. Yeah, we'll surely do look at eloquent design, right? How to design an eloquent. Okay, so and I think that's when a lot of things will start making sense. But now we'll just let's just stick to this. Should have an ID field. ID field of should be int, not no. Not known, and I think this is it. You should have another one. So job should have a name. All right, name of the job, and so 5 as character, and it should be unique because there are no two types of job with the same name. Okay, and next it should have a description. The job should have a description. Okay, and description should be, because we don't want anything above this guy, and then Yeah, just look at this. And yeah, so we hit our enter key, possibly syntax error where close to increment. Okay. Hope you can still see my screen. So my auto increments, I don't know. I don't know. Can you still see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. I want to make sure that it increments just only by one, so I should do this, and I think everything should work fine. Oh, super. But then this should work fine. And hmm. So it works. So before, I think the last one, so you can see the error was pretty much understandable. All right. So saying that this thing, what's it called? Let me just describe this guy. Describe jobs. Okay. So that this field has to be a key. All right. So in this case, it has to be well, maybe component or whatever. Okay. And so okay. So we should start by inserting. So start by inserting data. So inserting data, of course, you should know, since you are already in the table, so you can just type insert into then the table name, okay? Table underscore name. So in this case, I will insert into users. All right. Some people just do insert into users, then they just put what they just maybe users sometimes some people use just values, okay? right? And then insert whatever. But sometimes it's good for you to specify the field, right? So in this case, I will be inserting into, let me describe users first. So see how users looks like. Okay. So users they have ID and which is not known. So I have to manually set this thing. Okay. But then what if I just, in fact, why don't I just delete it? Okay. Now this is how to delete table in MySQL. Okay. All right. So you can, if you check, so no table should be. So now we had this thing somewhere. So yeah. So possibly. What do we have? We have discovery as well. The primary key, the increase. So we should have now email. Unique. And I'll see this because sometimes you might want to add some other thing. We should have what again? We should have name. So of course, a human being always have to. There should be a name. Okay, so I think we are set. So put our, and yeah, we are done. So if we check describe, so we have users now. So to insert into users, okay. In this case, I'm going to be inserting what ID. ID, sorry, not ID. Email ID will automatically be generated, okay. So phone and what is it again? So and what again? So the name, okay. Now I can go on to specify the values here, okay. And say name. The other time was what? So name, email should be admin@email.com, okay. So this should be unique, all right. So human being must always have And we can still add what's it again? We can add a phone. Phone is an optional field, okay, and is an option. It's an optional field, but then we just have to add it. Then the last is name. Admin test. Okay, so we are done. All right. So you can see now if you check. Now this is how to retrieve all or to retrieve data from a database. Select. So the star, all right, stands for all. Select all from users. Okay. And you can see this guy here. All right. So let me insert another person. And you notice that this thing, you notice the ID is there, but I did not specify the ID here. Okay. So, but then you notice that, all right. So my Mac battery is getting low. So meaning I have to run. So I'll use Mendy now. So Mendy, I don't know his phone number.
My phone number.
Don't worry. Don't.
Okay.
Yeah. So you see, it should work very fine too. But notice that if I remove this guy, if I remove this name, it is not going to work again. Notice. So you can see field name doesn't have a default value. So you remember the constraint we did set the other time, okay? So that is so much more. Now, if I should show you this again, look at this. So you can see now the ID now grows to what, number 2. So automatically, I don't have to be setting this ID each time because it was set to 1 auto increment, okay? So you can see this now set to what? No, because it was initially, it was nullable, all right? And of course, every field can be, inserted except, and now if I try this thing, now look at this. If I try to insert this again, so this shouldn't work because there is a constraint on the email and the phone number to be unique. Okay, say duplicate entry, what's that? I don't know. Duplicate entry, email, admin. Okay. Now, what if I try to insert it with the same phone number? We probably just say admin 45. Okay, you can see duplicate entry, right, for users.phone. All right, so that is the initial constraint we had set for the table, all right? And we can update the field. Okay, we can update the field. And should I use that as an assignment? Yes, because yes, probably an assignment already. So let me just review that. Let me just leave that. But then what now makes sense? You can now easily query a user, all right? That's when you now use the where clause, all right? Select all from users where email equals let's say admin at email.com. So we should get one item. All right, so you can see now. What if I try to search with a no correct value? You see an empty set. Okay, so I get an empty set return. All right. Now I can select all from where, maybe any field. Okay, let me insert another data. Okay, so we can just play around with that. Okay, I think I did. Yes. Yeah. So I have Mindy here, and I want to set some other person. Who is here? Let me just check who is here, and then let me just. Okay. Maurice. Let me just use Maurice. Okay. So, and I'll just say Maurice. Okay, so we are done. So I can filter all users where their phone number is equals to no. So I should get where phone. So because I don't know, Mindy's phone number and I don't know Maurice's phone number. All right, so select all from users. Select all from users where phone equals no. Oh. So yeah, so we got this, all right. So you want to select all. So you can see we got all non-nullable field value. Okay, all right. So this is where we can update any data here, but I said we can delete any data. I think I did show you. I think so. Yeah. So we should continue from any question so far.
No, I wanted to get clear about the tax that you said we should do. You said we should go and add recursive iterator, and recursive array iterator in
I
our
didn't say go and add. I did not say go and add.
okay.
I only said probably I should expect to see. That's if I expect. I'm expecting, but
Okay.
then it's not there. Maybe you have a better approach of solving it. Fine.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Maybe I'll effect in the next project now. No other.
It's not a must that you have to use it in the next project. It's just in context to what you're going to do.
And according to explanation, it feels like it makes the whole process easier, right?
The problem we initially was having was where we had multiple, many dimensional array, all right, and then we were trying to struggle within keys, and we had to unify them. We had to unify them into one single array. Okay.
Right. Right.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So, you understand?
Yeah. One more question from me.
Okay.
I realized that you have MySQL stored globally on your system, and you also have PHP admin installed.
Yes.
Right. So both of them can actually run independently of their own.
Yes.
And whatever you do in my admin can reflect when you get into MySQL too.
Yes.
Okay, because I realized on my own system that since I installed my SQL, my XAMPP, PHP, my admin, my XAMPP, I mean PHP, my admin on XAMPP was not working anymore. It wasn't loading anymore.
It wasn't loading. Like, I don't get that. You installed MySQL separately.
Yeah, I installed my SQL separately, like on its own, the full MySQL package on its own.
Mm-hmm.
So because I wanted to stop using XAMPP, so like I'm using, what's it called, PHP with my globally installed MySQL. Then I realized after installing my SQL, it worked. My SQL worked perfectly well on my system, but I could not access my SQL via the XAMPP anymore. If each time I click on it, it just keeps giving me an error message.
You broke it now, so you have to fix it back.
Okay, so but without XAMPP, I need PHP, MySQL, and I also need to download PHP my admin too as well to get everything up and running, right?
Yes. Are you using Linux?
No, I'm using Windows.
Windows is always somehow not really straightforward setting up, all right? But Linux, maybe you can. Are you using a virtual machine?
No, I'm not using the virtual machine.
Okay. All right. But then setting up Windows to run like that way is sometimes always ridiculous, all right? So what I'll still advise, probably you get a virtual machine, then install Linux on the virtual machine, install these things separately and automatically work. There are so many plugins made for Mac and Linux, okay? So that you can just, that can allows you to, use those things globally.
All right, no problem. Thank you. All right, thank you.
All right. Any other question? Any other question? Maybe the hand is still. Okay. All right. So see you guys next on Thursday. So on Thursday we'll be doing a lot. So probably we'll not be writing code again using what's it called? Using MySQL terminal. So we'll be writing PHP code to interact directly with MySQL. So see you on Thursday.